Welcome to our Spanish guitar painting workshop. I first have to apologize as it seems I had some technical difficulty while recording this class. The first part of this class has not been recorded and is not included in this video. However, the step is really easy. All you need to do is paint your background. I have painted my background a green by double loading my brush with white and phthalo green and then using vertical strokes. I've used my largest brush to fill in as much area as possible. Feel free to pause the video and continue when you are finished your background. Alright, artists, once you're done your background, wipe, rinse, and wipe your brush. And I'm going to start moving on to the guitar part, which is really kind of neat because it requires a bit of mixing, a lot of patience, and a lot of just being really gentle with your brush. All right.
Ready? Almost. Ready? Hey, just gonna start first. No, I'm switching. Ready?
So the next part of the painting, I'm just going to use orange to start with, but I am going to blend it with a little bit of red. So you'll want to have access to orange, red, and a little bit of white. Now if you don't have your orange, or you don't like your orange, or you want to change it, you can add some yellow to it. Just keeping in mind that if you want a lime green guitar, what is this piece called? The neck, that's what it is. Oh my gosh. Yes, the neck of the guitar. If you want a lime green one, you're going to need some yellow for that one. All right. So artists, when you're ready, we are going to continue with our biggest brush that we have, but this time I'm going to turn it on its side so that I can get a thin line when I do my outline or my inline, whatever you want to call it. And we're just going to kind of eyeball this. I know that might seem a little daunting, but I kind of want this portion here to be orange. So I'm literally going to take my orange and just outline that portion only that I know I'm going to have orange. So let's say I'm going to have it about like that-ish. Oops. Now, if you can, like if some of your brush strokes are coming through, a nice cover up is some white. However, if you add white to your orange, you're going to get peach, which might still look really cool. So if you want to do that, you can. However, I am just going to stick with my orange. And I'm just going to, now when we do our brush strokes for the guitar, we're going to kind of try to follow the contour of the guitar shape. So the contour is the outer edges of your guitar. So our brush strokes are going to be kind of curved and long. And artists, we can even we'll probably even have time to come around and do second coats. Make sure you have a lot of paint on your brush so that your brush is gliding and it's filling in. If you land your brush and it's picking up paint, it means that you don't have enough wet paint on your brush. So you always need to have more wet paint on your brush than there is on your canvas. That's the only way that your paint is going to stick. Okay. Now, when you're done that little section, I know we're actually going to move down to this kind of bottom corner here, and you're probably like, but Paige, we're missing a spot. It's okay, trust me. So when you're done this little orange area, we are going to wipe, rinse, and wipe our brush, and we're going to move on to red. Now for the red, or the magenta, it's the exact same thing that you just did, however, just in a different area. So this time, I think I'm going to take my red kind of in this area here. Now artists, it is your masterpiece. Technically, this is your decision. You decide, sorry, my cat's running around. You decide where you would like your red to be, but I'm going to do it kind of like at the 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock position on my guitar. And again, using the big brush, We are just going to fill this in following the contour of our guitar. So again, the contour is the outer edge of our guitar. Now when it comes to this little piece here, I'm sure it has a name as well, we are just going to skip right over top of it. Now if you do want to paint over top of it, you can. You just need to go back, and it would either have to be black at the end, or you'd have to paint it over with white a couple of times before you could paint a color on it. So artists, I don't know if you can see, here I've landed my brush and it's picked up some paint, so I need to add more paint. So again, just using our big brush very gently, following the contour. Now this is the super fun part. We're not even going to clean our brush for the next part. So once you've done your red and you've done your orange up here, we're not even going to clean our brush. We're actually going to take a little bit of orange on our brush now, and starting, you know, in the middle, we're going to kind of blend these colors together. So again, try to outline first if you can. Mine's a little crooked there. And we're going to get a little bit mixy here. So this is where you are going to double dip. If you have, I like to kind of start in the middle and then pull my colors back and forth from there, because then I can blend a little bit better. So artists, the color you kind of should have in the middle is a red-orange, really. Yeah, artists, I think we'll actually go back and do second coat, so don't worry too much about it looking perfect. Just know that that's where your red-orange is going to be. So we're going to have our orange up here, our red-orange here, and our red down here. We'll come around again and do a second coat on all of this. The second coat really helps in creating consistency in your masterpiece. So like right now we can really see our strokes, right? When we add that second coat, everything will kind of even out a little bit. And this process that you're doing right now is the exact same process that you're going to do when we do our second coat. So artists, when you're done your first coat of your red-orange, wipe, rinse, and wipe your brush, and we're actually going to come down to the 7 o'clock-ish part on your guitar. And we are actually maybe we'll move a little bit up. I'm going to do this whole bottom section like a violet and then a red violet. So let's actually go up to here. We're going to go onto our blue. And I'm literally just going to outline here and then fill in this little tiny spot here. It's hardly anything. And this might be a little bit different than the original. I don't have the original here with me. But really what we're doing is we're just creating a rainbow. We're not going to do all of the colors in the rainbow though, because we're going to use yellow and green here. We're going to make a lime green here, right? But I do want to just give this side a little bit of blue. The other thing you can do is you can paint the side of your canvas. So it's just a little tiny, tiny bit. Now this is the really fun part. We are going to make violet. So if you can imagine, when you make a color, if you have equal parts of the two colors that you're going to mix together, it creates the actual violet. So basically, if I take the exact same amount of magenta or red and the exact same amount of blue, I'm going to create a purple. However, because I already have some blue on my brush, this is actually the easiest way to do it. If I just dip, again, a little bit into my palette, and I'm just going to get a little tiny bit of red on my brush already, I can create a violet right on my canvas. And you can see because I had more blue on my brush than I had red, it's getting dark, right? Like it's a really dark violet. So again, to create violet, we're going to use red and blue. And the closer that we are to the blue, the more blue that we're going to have than red. And artists, we are going to do this again. So if your color doesn't come out exact, don't worry, this can just be a base coat. Now as you move the other way around, counterclockwise around your guitar, you are basically just going to add more red. So we have more blue, we're going to add more red, more red, more red, way more red so that it can blend in together really nicely. And honestly, artists, if it doesn't work, don't worry about it. Just have fun mixing your colors. I love how streaky this gets. Okay, so I don't know if you can see, I just did this really quick. We have blue, and then I added a little bit of red, more red, more red, more red, more red. And so the closer that you get, the more red you want to have on your brush than blue. This is just my first coat. I am going to come back and do this again. But at least I've got my first coat kind of done. So it gives me a guide when I come back to mix again, I know where I need to mix and what needs to be mixed together. Now, if you, artists, if you are more comfortable mixing on your palette and not on your canvas, you can do that. And just a reminder to go around the sides of your canvas. Are you making a beautiful violet? So artists, I'm just gonna pull this a little bit closer. You can see like my brush strokes are not perfect, right? Like it's still kind of messy. You can see where I've lifted some paint, but it's just our first coat, so we're not even going to worry about it, okay? This is, I want you to think of it like a base coat. So artists, just a reminder to get right in here underneath the, I'm sure this part has a name too, underneath the round part. My grandfather used to play guitar. He's probably rolling around in his grave going, you don't know the parts of a guitar? Nope, I'm just gonna paint it. Artists, do you love making new colors? I love making new colors. All right, once I'm done that, and again, this is just our first coat, I'm going to wipe, rinse, and wipe my brush, and we're going to move on to the first coat of our guitar's neck. So if you want a lime green, you're going to mix together blue and yellow. If you've dipped into your pot and you have some paint on the top, literally, you're just going to take your finger and scoop out the top little bit, okay? So on this side, I seem to have some red and some blue. I'm just gonna scoop it out. But if you've already poured that paint right on your palette, then you are good to go. Artists, when you're ready, on your palette, you're gonna scoop out some of that yellow and just pop it on your palette. Actually, maybe I'll turn my palette around. My beautiful paper plate palette. Oops. Okay, so we're just gonna take some of that beautiful yellow and a bit of blue, not a lot, just a bit to start. Because to create lime green, we actually need more yellow than blue. Now when I mix my colors, if you have a palette knife, it's a lot easier to stir it and mix it together, or even a plastic spoon if you really wanted to. But it's really easy to just do it with your brush as well. Except I try to not press very hard so that the paint doesn't build up in my bristles. and I'm just going to poke it, kind of like I'm being just really annoying. And artists, I don't even think this is the same green that I originally had, but I like it, so I am going to use it. So when you have made your green, scrape out your brush. You don't need to rinse it, but do scrape it out because you've probably built some paint up in those bristles. And again, using our big brush on its side, we are going to outline first and then fill in. So the harder that you press with your brush, the wider that your bristles will spread. And honestly, artists, your background should be pretty dry by now. So if you want to balance your pinky finger, you can do that. But I'm just going to outline first and then fill in. And we're going to come back and do a second coat on this one as well. So everything that we just did, we are going to do again. Painting is all about the layers. And just a reminder to take that beautiful color on to the side of the canvas. And you could probably take it around the top a little bit too. So again, we're going to wipe, rinse, and wipe our brush once we've painted in the neck. And again, we are going to come back and do a second coat. So artists, I'm not going to do the middle part of my guitar yet. I'm actually going to do that after I do my second coat all the way around. And I've decided that my middle part, I'm actually going to do it a gray today, like a really dark gray. That way I know it will cover up any of my edges, because you can see my circle kind of got painted over there a little bit. So my center is going to be gray. If you want yours to be a different color, a lighter color, I would suggest doing it now, just so that you have time to do 2 coats. But if you are like, no, I just want it to be kind of dark and hollow, you can follow along with me. I'm just going to do 1 coat of a really dark gray at the end. So artists, when you're ready, we are just going to start up at the top right corner again and do the exact same process in the exact same order, because that's how our paint should dry. Like my red and my violet down here will be a little bit wet still, right? But my orange up here and even my blue over here should be fairly dryish now. This second coat is going to be lovely because it is really going to finish this off. So I don't even really need to talk a lot because you guys know exactly what to do. So when you're ready, you're going to take your big brush, and if you want to outline again, just to give yourself a little bit of a base, you can do that. Just be very, very, very careful when going near your neck because you just painted it. It's still going to be wet. If you were to mix orange and green together, my 2 favorite colors, if you mix them together, you're actually going to end up with a mucky brown. So just be very careful anytime you get your brush really close to that wet green. And artists, very lightly and using more paint on your brush than there is on your canvas, you are just going to do your second coat. And what a difference that makes, right? So after we did the first coat of orange, we skipped and went right to our red. So if you want to do that, so again, just outline first. And if your paint is still wet, just be very, very light with your brush. And make sure that you have more wet paint on your brush than is on your canvas. So you can paint over top of wet paint, but you're pretty much dipping all the time. And that second coat is just going to be, it's just going to finish it off lovely. All right. See, super easy. Second coats are easy because you're really just putting on the paint. Then, in the middle here, we took both our red and our orange on our brush, and we got a little bit streaky. Now, a really neat thing, artists, if you want, because orange is actually a combination of yellow and red, if you want it to be like, hey, I want to add some streaks in here. Oh, I almost spilled my paint. That would not have been good. You can add some yellow onto your brush. If you want to be a little bit wild and crazy, and you could add some yellow streaks in here. Anytime you add streaks, so you just want to be really, really, really light with your brush. All right, it's okay if your paint gets a little bit mixy and streaky. It just looks really, really cool. All right, when you're done with that, don't worry if you're not, we're just gonna move back to our blue and start around the other way that we did before. So I'm going to wipe, rinse, and wipe my brush. And again, my neck of my guitar is still wet. So I just wanna be very careful when I outline there. So artists will continue to do this for another few minutes, probably another 5 at least, unless you let me know when you're ready to go, but just enjoy laying down your paint and mixing those colors together, and it's okay if it gets a little streaky. It does not have to mix perfectly together. I am being very, very, very light with my brush. And if I need more paint, I know because my brush starts to drag or I'll pick up paint with my brush, you'll see my brush marks a lot more. So artists, once you're done adding in your second coat on your guitar, we're going to do a second coat on our neck. So artists, on my neck, I decided that I wanted it a little bit brighter and more streaky. You know me, I like streaky stuff. So I've just dipped in my yellow and my lime green, so they're both on my brush. And very lightly, because my brush is, or my neck is still pretty wet. So just very lightly, I'm going to add my second coat and let those yellow streaks show through. So if you're not there yet, don't worry. All right, artists, you let me know when you're done your second coats. I'm just gonna hang out and wait. So you know what we did the first time, you're just gonna do it the second time. Finish your second coat on your neck. Then we're going to move on to the hollow part of our guitar, the circle in the middle, and then down here where the guitar strings meet. So those will be our steps after we're done our second coat. So again, artists, I like to get mixy, so I'm going to double dip. Now I want my middle part to be a dark gray, so I'm going to get quite a bit of black on my brush, and then just a little bit of white. So I've got black and white on my brush, and the first thing that we always do is we outline first. So you can move on to your smaller brush if you want to, if you're more comfortable. Or if you're okay, you're just gonna take a deep breath and pull this paint around in a circle. So again, mine's pretty streaky, right? Because I like those streaks. So if you like those streaks, don't go over it very often. If you want it to turn one shade of gray, then you're gonna go over top of those. Now again, I'm following the contour, right? It's about creating that shape with your brush. So I'm still going in a circle. And then for the part down where the guitar strings meet up, I painted over it a little bit. So I need to add some white to whatever color I'm going to choose. So I am going to, what color do I have there? I think I am going to do a light blue. So again, it's entirely up to you, but because I painted over, I do have to add some white. I am going to, actually I'm just gonna mix right in my little pod here. And I am going to use my 1/2 inch brush, just because I find I'll have a little bit better control. And, oh, not dry yet, so don't touch your guitar yet. But again, we're going to outline first and then fill in. Oh, I like that. So artists, you'll notice because I've added the white, it'll cover a little bit better, but I might have to come back and fill it in again. Oh, it's not that bad actually. So the white is a good cover up. It really covers any oopses up. So artists, we still have a few steps left. They're little tiny steps, but I do want to let you know what's coming up. So don't worry if you're not done yet. I just want to let you know what's coming up. So we need to still add our guitar strings, but before we do that, we have to add the, and again, I don't know, but they're the lines that go kind of horizontal against the neck, and then you'll have the guitar strings going down. Now, I think someone once said to me something about this guitar, I didn't have enough guitar strings. I don't care, it's a painting, we're just gonna go with it. But what you do wanna do is have some dots down here for them to meet up with. And the other thing that we have to do is we have to add some white contour streaks. You don't have to do this if you don't want to, but I'm gonna show you how to do that. And then I'm also going to just do like almost like a sketch outline on my canvas, just so, yeah, just so you know where the outline is. So I think the first thing that I'll start with is my horizontal lines going across my neck. Okay. So anytime I do a thin line, I want to use a thin brush. So I just have my square head brush here, and I'm just going to gather a little bit of black paint on it. Not a lot, just a little, because I want this brush to do the work for me. So just a little tiny bit of black paint on my brush, and I am just going to very lightly almost sketch. Like, it doesn't even have to be a real solid line. Now before we do our guitar strings, I'm gonna let that dry a little bit. Now is all about the little parts, right? And doing all the little things. So while we still have black on our brush, do you guys want to, should we outline our guitar a little bit? And you don't have to do this if you don't want to. So again, artists, like when I do this, it's hardly any paint at all. You can see there's hardly any paint on there, because I can always add a little bit more. Now when I do this outline, oops, I got black on my background. I'm hardly pressing, and I'm just very lightly dragging it around my guitar to give my guitar a little bit of an outline. You do not have to do this if you are not comfortable doing it.
That looks cool, guys.
But it's not meant to be perfect. Remember, this is a painting. You know what, you guys, I know this isn't actually in the original one, but I am going to give this just a little bit of a sketch outline too. It's not even going to be perfect. I just want it to show up a little bit more. I think in the original one it wasn't even this shape. I think it was around, yeah, it was a curved shape. All right, so I've just outlined a little bit, and I've added my horizontal note streaks in. While that's drying, we're gonna go on to add some white streaks. So that'll be our next step. So when you're done, if you are going to outline, when you're done outlining your guitar, and I did do a little bit of an outline down here on this bottom part that I just painted, I just did it just for myself. I wanted it to stand out a little bit more. And of course we did those black lines across the neck. My neck still has to dry a little bit, so our next step is going to be to add some white contour streaks. So when you're done the outlining part, you do want to rinse and wipe your brush. We need to have a really clean brush for this next step because we're just going to use pure white. You ready? Okay, so I'm going to go on to my 1/2" brush. I'm just using white. Now, I do have to warn you, you cannot undo this, okay? So if you don't like it, maybe watch what I'm doing first. If you don't like it or you don't want to do it, just don't, okay? But what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my 1/2" brush. And again, this is to just create some movement in our piece. So we're just going to be really streaky with this. And we're just going to add a little bit of a contour there. Maybe a little bit down here. Maybe another little one down there. Okay, and there is no right or wrong way to do it. What I will tell you, however, is you will know when it's time to stop. There. I think that's enough. Maybe one more. See, you always do too much. So just do enough. When you like it, stop. The other thing you can do if you really wanted to keep going with this whole movement thing is you could add some lines, streaky lines down your neck too if you really wanted to, but you do not have to do that. Just create some messy interest in your piece. That's all that does. So artists, our next step is going to be to figure out where our guitar strings are going to land. And the way I'm going to do that is by using the handle of my biggest brush. And I'm actually going to dip right into my white. And I'm probably going to do this again, but I'm just going to dip right into my white. I'm going to imagine where I want one string to land. It's going to be right there. This is just to give me a guide. And I'm going to dip and dot for every string, okay? So it doesn't even go all the way across there. All that is a guiding, that's it. It's not even, doesn't even have to look that pretty. Now this is the part that I do get a little stressed out about. It's doing that black guitar string. Now, because it's black, you can't take it away. So you're just gonna take a deep breath. You're gonna take your smallest brush. Again, I like this brush. Get a little tiny bit of paint on it and get those bristles stuck together so that when I go this way, it creates a really thin line. I'm probably not gonna say much while I do this because you kind of need to concentrate. So you can either go from this dot up or down to this dot. You know what, honestly, artists, I think I'm gonna go sideways. I don't think I trust my hand to do this. So I think I'm actually gonna go like this. Whew, there's one. All right. Okay, so I started to run out of paint there, so I need to and if you start to run out of paint, just pick up your brush and start again. But this can be a little like almost like a sketch line, right? It doesn't have to be perfect. It's okay if it's wobbly. This is a painting, not a photograph. See, mine are totally crooked and they're not even the same apart, but that is okay because this is a painting. Yeah, and see, I even have some broken strings. That's okay. So can you see that okay, what I did? Like, honestly, artists, my lines aren't even straight. I hope you do way better than I do. Yeah, I don't know which way is better, right? Like when you do a straight line, it's really difficult. I think what I would do is just follow the side of the guitar neck, right? To get your nice straight line. And then artists, when you're done your lines, you could just, I'm just dotting in, I don't even know what this is, where the strings connect, and making my dots a little bit bigger. I do have some black on my brush, so it's creating a messy gray, but that's the whole point of this masterpiece, that it is messy. And then to finish off your masterpiece, you may want to paint the sides of your canvas. Because you've just spent the last hour, literally, painting your canvas, you want to be very careful. You're not going to want to take your big brush and go up and down because you have a chance of your bristles splitting and you'll get the front of your canvas. So if you are going to paint the sides, you are going to go from the back to the front. Okay, so from the back to the front in just little tiny strokes. You can do the top, the bottom, the sides, anything that you need to do to finish this masterpiece off.